Here is a situation that almost every developer has experienced. You finish working on a piece of functionality and create a pull request. Now your work is done, but your next piece of work depends on this change. So what do? You wait for a review the pull request, then you wait for it to be approved, then you wait for it to be merged. And only after that you pull the latest version of the main, create your next branch and start working on the next feature. But what if the review take a few hours or a day, or maybe your reviewer is busy and does not get to your PR until a week? Your development workflow is now blocked, not because you have nothing to do, but because you are waiting previous changes to make its way into main. And this is not necessarily a problem with the code review. Code review is important. We absolutely want our code to be reviewed before it reaches to the main branch. The problem is dependency between development and review. I may be completely ready to start the new piece of work, but I don't want to create a new branch from an outdated main branch. And I don't want to manually copy and duplicate changes from my previous branch either. So I ended up waiting. GitHub's new stacked pull requests are designed to solve this problem. So instead of waiting for feature A to be merged, I can create feature B on the top of feature A. So my Git history look like this, where each branch depend on previous one, and each layer can have its own pull request. Notice something important here. So PR2 does not need PR1 to be merged before I can create it, and PR2 is based on feature we implemented in PR1, and PR3 can be based on a feature implemented in PR2. So I can keep developing while earlier pull requests are being reviewed. So GitHub defines a stack as two or more dependent pull requests where the bottom PR targets the trunk such as main or master, and each subsequent PR targets the branch directly below it. So by now you should have an idea of what stacked pull requests are, and more importantly what problem they are designed to solve. But how does this actually work in GitHub? How do you create a stack? What happens when the first PR gets changed during review? And how do you keep the rest of the stack in sync? That is what we will explore in the next video. Now let's see how stacked pull requests actually work with an hands-on example. Let's start by creating a new repository on GitHub. I will name it customer management. Now let's clone this repository to our local machine. I will open the command prompt in the folder where I want to keep this project and clone the repository. Yep, repository is cloned. Let's move into the repository directory. And since I am using VS Code, I can simply type code dot. This open the repository directly in the VS Code. Before we start implementing our feature, let's add a simple README file to the main branch. I will commit the changes and push it to the GitHub. Now if I refresh the GitHub repository, we can see the README file and our first commit is here. Now suppose we are starting development on this application, and the first thing I want to add is the database layer. I will create a new branch from main, and I will create a folder called db and a file called login.sql. For this demonstration, I will just create a simple mock SQL file containing a login table. Remember, the goal of this demo is not to build a real application. I just want to demonstrate how stacked pull requests work. Now let's commit these changes and push the branch to GitHub. As soon as we publish the branch, GitHub gives us the option to create a pull request like this. Let's create the first pull request. Notice that the base branch is main. Now imagine that our reviewer is busy and don't have time to review this PR for the next few days. But I don't want to stop developing. My next feature depends on the database changes I just made. This is where stacked pull requests become useful. So instead of waiting for the previous PR to be reviewed, approved and merged, I can continue working by creating a new branch on the top of FeatureDB branch. I will create an API folder and add a mock login.cs file. Let's imagine this file contains the API code that will retrieve data from the login table. I will commit these changes and push the branch to GitHub. Now let's create another pull request. And here's the important part. This time I don't select main as the base branch. Instead, I select the branch that the feature API branch was created from. So the base branch for this PR is FeatureDB branch. If I selected main instead, GitHub would show both the database commit and the API commit in the comparison. But that is not what we want. We want our reviewer to review only the changes introduced by the API layer. So I will select FeatureDB as the base branch. And now we can see an option to add this pull request to a stack. I will select this option. Now GitHub understands that these two pull requests are related. And this is the key idea behind stacked pull request. PR number 2 does not have to wait for the PR number 1 to be merged. I can continue developing while PR number 1 is being reviewed. Now let's take this one step further. Suppose the reviewer is still busy and I want to start working on the login page. I will create another branch on the top of Feature API. I will create a front-end folder and add a simple login.html file with some dummy content. Let's commit and push this branch. Now let's create another pull request. This time the base branch is Feature API. And again, I will select the option to add this PR to the stack. Now our stack contain 3 pull requests for UI, API and database changes. The reviewer can now review each layer independently. At one of the more interesting part of the stack PR. Suppose the reviewer is now reviewing the database pull request. They leave a comment asking me to add the timestamp field in the login table. I need to make this change in the FeatureDB branch. I will make the required changes in the login.sql. Now let's commit the changes and push it to the GitHub. But now we have a problem. Feature API and Feature UI are created from the previous version of FeatureDB. I have just changed FeatureDB branch. So the branches above it are now out of sync. And GitHub tells us that the branches in the stack have diverged and need to be rebased. In the past, keeping dependent branch synchronized could require manually tracking these relationships and rebasing the branch one by one. But GitHub's stacked PR workflow provides a rebase stack option. So let's click rebase stack button. GitHub now cascades the rebase through the stack. The changes made to the FeatureDB are propagated through the dependent branches. GitHub's current documentation confirms that the rebase stack action performs a server-side cascading rebase across the stack and updates the unmerged branches above it. Let's verify that. I will open the Feature API branch and we can see that the timestamp change from the database branch is now present here as well. And the same changes should also be present in the Feature UI branch. Perfect. So GitHub has kept the dependent branches synchronized for us. Now let's look at another scenario. Suppose the reviewer has also requested a change to the UI. For example, they want me to change the login button label. So I will switch to the Feature UI branch. But remember, GitHub has already rebased this branch. My local branch may not contain those latest changes yet. So I will pull the latest version using this command git pull dash dash rebase. Now my local branch contains the latest rebased changes from the GitHub. I can make the requested UI changes. Let's commit the changes and push it to the GitHub. I can also reply the review comment and resolve the conversation once the requested changes has been addressed. Now let's assume all the reviewers are happy with the changes and all the pull request has been approved. One of the nice things about stacked pull requests is that we don't necessarily have to merge each PR individually. GitHub allows us to merge the stack together. I will merge the stack. And there we go. All the pull requests in our stack have been merged into main. GitHub's current stack PR documentation says that merging the top branch can merge the entire stack automatically. Let's confirm that by checking the commit on the main. And yes, we can see the changes from the database, API, and UI work represented in the resulting commit history. So this is the workflow improvement that GitHub is bringing with the stacked pull request. This is a significant improvement to the pull request workflow, especially for the dependent changes. One important thing to keep in mind is that GitHub Stacked Pull Request is currently in preview and availability is being rolled out. So depending on your repository and GitHub account, you may not see all of these options yet. If you found this demonstration useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the study mesh. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.